Well, I'd like to say good morning. It's not particularly a good morning. We lost a really, really wonderful soul to heaven the other day. I think it was Saturday. I think it was Shabbat. Maybe I think it was Shabbat. Rabbi Lord Sachs, John Sachs, Jonathan Sachs, David Sachs. Oh boy, I'm having a name problem. Anyway, it's certainly Rabbi Lord Sachs. He's I think he's the senior rabbi in Great Britain or England. He has a wonderful story. You can catch his many of his sermons on TED Talks. You can subscribe to his newsletter. I do. I get his writings each week. He's got a lot of great videos out there, and he really has captured many of the seminal moments in our world, in our times, and explain them in ways that were really really great to hear. It's sad to lose his breath, but his message is around. His name will be a blessing, and you can certainly, like Ravi Zacharias, who we lost earlier in the year, and I really like too. I really love both these guys. You can go back and get their teachings, and I will continue to. They're more needed than ever. I just wish they were able to be here so that they were completely contemporary. So anyway, there's like a lot going on here. I'm not sure which thing I wanted to speak to you about. I had a really kind of awful experience with somebody the other day who I thought was a friend, and had mutual respect, and just became really apparent that they had totally bought into the critical race theory that essentially whites are racist, and of course very much that Trump is a white supremacist, and by extension anybody that supports him is a white supremacist. And essentially years worth of a relationship and his understanding of me meant absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. The moment I corrected him on the belief he had that Trump said that white supremacists are nice people, the Charleston speech that's been misrepresented so much, the moment I corrected him on the fact that Trump has denounced white supremacy, is the moment that I became a white supremacist. And of course he considers all lives matter to be the enemy. All lives matter is the enemy, because it's Black Lives Matter. You can't say all lives matter. And if you're a Trump supporter, you are the enemy. And that is sort of the lead into situation that we find ourselves in here this morning. And shame on the media. We have evidence, strong testimony, and examples of real basis for a legal challenge in many states: Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Michigan, I think South Carolina it is, and Georgia, and in the case, of course, these cases are going to start getting filed today and tomorrow, and none of the election results have been certified in the states. And of course, come I don't know when it is, what date, but we haven't even certified the election. So the Electoral College has not certified the election, voted on the election, and that won't happen really until these legal challenges are resolved. And there's very valid reasons to think that they will be successful. Without going into it, there really are. And of course, Trump haters, Biden supporters won't acknowledge that, but part of the reason they don't acknowledge is what the media is doing. So the media has jumped on calling the election. All of them, Fox, every one of them. Fox is no longer, the one last right conservative media is now owned by huge Biden supporters. In fact, Murdoch's wife commented the other day over the weekend, I think, or maybe during the week, we did it. You know, in other words, she perceived it to be kind of an accomplishment of their channel to have called the election early and influenced the election in favor of Biden and against Trump. So it's really every single media: ABC, CBS, CNN, MSN, New York Post, New York Times, Washington Post. You know, all of the media is to the left, far left, and they're all running going fast forward to calling the election, when, as I say, there are legitimate legal challenges. Now, it's really ironic how they spent 4 years not accepting and investigating the result of the last election, and we're not even 1 week into the results even being finished, and they're already denying the validity of any challenge, any investigation. And what they're doing is they're setting the country up for a really bad moment, a bad situation. And I think they know it. They want to establish the Biden victory so that when the Supreme Court finally faces it, it feels like they're kind of overturning the election as opposed to just making a decision on which ballots are valid. You see, if they haven't certified, let's say a state has not certified its results, because they can if there's a legal challenge, then those electoral votes don't count. They don't count. So if you have this going on in, I don't know, is it 8 states or whatever it is? If you have this going on and the Electoral College can't certify and nobody's made it to 2-7 legitimately, then we all should be sitting tight. I mean, don't we all want to be able to trust the result of this election, right? So we have a legitimate constitutional question to begin with. Really do. What constitutes a legal ballot or an illegal ballot? That has to be decided by the Supreme Court at this point, because we've crossed the line, and there's a genuine question mark here as to whether the ballots in some of these states are constitutional. And if they're not, they don't count. And if they don't count, or they let them count anyway, it changes everything. So what we're doing is we're setting up in the minds of half of America that they've already won the election when they haven't yet. It is really, you can't even call him the elect. He's not even the president-elect. You're president-elect when you have crossed the threshold, and you have not crossed the threshold if those votes are not certified. So, and they're legally contested. So what you have is all of America on edge for a decision. And what's going to happen? Well, first of all, when they declared Biden, you have 70 million pissed off Republicans. Where's the rioting? Where's the violence? You haven't seen any of it. You haven't seen any of it. So the notion that these are white supremacists that are going to riot and be violent is been, right now, is certainly fallacious. But on top of which, if this election is over, if these ballots are deemed unconstitutional, a la illegal, and the thing is decided such that the electoral votes give the valid electoral ballots give the election to Trump, those boards that are up there better be up there, because there is going to be violence in America like we haven't seen. And it could have been avoided. It really could have been avoided. In fact, not only could it have been avoided, I think that the left media wants it to happen. They're setting us up for a situation where if the Supreme Court reaches that decision and those votes are invalidated, and the counts ultimately leave Trump as the victor, they want anarchy. They want the country to go nuts. It's essentially the revolution. The next, it took 38 days, I believe, to resolve the election for Florida, right? That was one state, and what's going to happen here, we don't really know. But we do know this, is that the media is not giving America a chance to thoroughly trust the result. They're not even giving it a chance. To the contrary. To the contrary. So when things go crazy, if it changes, when things go crazy, if these votes are not legal and the counts are certified for Trump, if the nation goes crazy, it'll be because of a couple things. One is it will be because of the attitude in the nation, but it will also be because the mainstream media fueled it, just like they fueled it all along. They fueled it with Russiagate. They fueled it with Ukraine. They fueled it with Mueller. For 4 years, they've investigated and discredited the legitimacy of this president. And they won't even wait 30 days to let the truth come out. What does that tell you? It really should be obvious by now, unless you're a hater. And if you're a hater, you love it. But you know what? Careful what you wish for, folks. The Trump voters have not gotten violent. We knew that there would be violence if Trump won. At some point here, it's everybody's for themselves, and vengeance becomes the word of the day. That's a horrible situation for us to be in as a nation. It's pretty much, I don't know, I think it's worse than the 60s. It's on the order of the 1850s, 60s, in the Civil War, and it could have all been avoided. All that the media had to do was its job. They just had to do their job, point out all the facts, present all sides, give everybody a voice. And to the contrary, they're doing the exact opposite. And they're feeding into the rage that our nation is going to feel. It's really a sad, sad Monday morning. I couldn't say good morning. I couldn't say Boker Tov because of that, and because of Rabbi Sachs. Nonetheless, we stay in the Word, and that's where we find our comfort and our strength, and peace, and then go back to work, because it's Monday. Have a good week.